That's down in Arkansas. Now, most groups that I talk to don't remember this. That picture there was taken on Good Friday in 1964. No, not tornado. But I was underground. That's it. We were in the cave, just going in. Dummy us done this after, crossed that bridge several times after that. But there were 4 of us, and all at once it sounded like you took a pickup truck load of gravel, dropped it on a metal roof, and just let it roll down the roof. And we all froze, in our spot. The last guy in line, he was okay. He saw the 3 guys in front of him, but the guy in the front of the line didn't see what happened behind him. Well, everybody finally sat there, and we were there probably close to a half hour, regaining our thoughts and composure here to go on. And, we couldn't figure out what happened. Then you get to thinking about a rock in there in a cave. If you dropped a rock down that slot, and that's 55 feet to the floor under me there, that rock will go thud, 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 boom, in soil or rock. No high-pitched ringing. Well, about 20 years after that happened, the light bulb came on, because we didn't know anything at all until it was on Good Friday, and we didn't know anything about the news until Sunday night when we were leaving the area, and that's all it was on the radio, was Alaskan earthquake. Oh-ho! Maybe that had to do with the earthquake. And then finally, like I say, 20 years later, it came to me. We didn't hear rocks fall at all. What we heard was the shock wave. The shock wave came through, and then as it faded off in the distance was what gave us the sound. Now, this is the same slot, water flowing down over the waterfall, a ledge. This fellow is about 20 feet below you, and this pool of water is about 40 feet down. Now we go over here and take a picture looking at this waterfall. There's the face of the waterfall. It's about half the actual size right there. That's taken at Thanksgiving, fall of the year. Now we'll look at the same place in the spring of the year. A lot more water coming through the area. This is one of the huge room. It's got a lot of breakdown rocks. A lot of people ask, well, what about that big rock? If it falls on you, you don't worry about that one. That's one of the pictures, again, you light with the big, large screw-in flash bulbs. More typical, a lot of caves, this goes for the Midwest, whether it be Missouri, Illinois, Indiana. You have a crack in the limestone rock. The rain falls up here on the surface. The water hits the leaves and turns that water into a very, very mild acid. Then it travels down that crack to a point that it comes to a stream out here at the side. And then that acid gradually erodes out the cave. It's easier to show you how to do it. Well, let's cut the earth in two. This is up by Bedford, is where this was taken. Here's the crack. Water came down through it till it hit creek level out here. Then it flowed horizontal, forming the cave. Eons later, the creek now has changed. It's a lot lower, eroded lower, and now the cave has plugged itself up with clay soil again. And these sequences can go several times where you'll be erode out, clay fill, erode out partially, back to clay again. But you can see how it changes in time. That's a typical one of those slots that you can traverse. A lot of them don't get very wide. Don't tell the bunch behind you, but I'm standing on flat floor here where I'm taking the picture. Interesting in caves, you can do a lot of, you might say, little climbing in that. Now, a lot of them, you need ropes and all of that. That's a different story. But you can see here, footholds, working your way through. Now, the ones in the front can probably see here, there's an arrow pointing down. Here's an arrow up, down, up, up. The thing is, people a lot of times will put an arrow pointing out pointing the way. Which way did they point? The way they went in or the way they go out? So there's arrows pointing two directions there. So they aren't always reliable as to which way that an arrow is pointing, and also it tends to deface the cave. So the first time I was in a cave and we went past daylight, I was lost. But anymore, you really don't need a lot of arrows in that. It's like walking across town. If you went from here across town, how are you going to find your way home? All these little square buildings are sitting along the street. The key is every one of those buildings, different color, a little different shape, and that. Caves are the same way. The rocks are all just a little different. And you get to reading the rocks as to what they look like and which way you came. The only secret is on the way in, keep looking over your shoulder so you know what it looks like going the other way, so you'd be familiar with it. I've seen, string drug in there, fishing line, kernels of corn. That's okay if a chicken doesn't follow you in. But people have tried all kinds of methods to retrace their steps. I used to always have trouble with duck walking. My knees always rubbed the ceiling. But caves can get very muddy, sloppy. I don't know if you say this. Cave exploring is the dirtiest clean sport or the clean dirty sport. I'm not sure which way you'd call it. But the caves can have a little more beauty to them. This shows some of the formations. Now we'll get into formations and what you'll see in the cave. Typically, as I said, the cave is dark. Open your camera lens up, set off the light, and then close the shutter. And that's typically most pictures are taken. This fellow's holding the flash in front of him. And you count 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, I open the shutter because he didn't holler, something was wrong. 3, he sets off the bulb, and then you close the shutter. And by doing that, you don't have the flash right at the camera, and you create shadows in this, and the shadows is what gives you a feeling of depth in your pictures. Otherwise, it's pretty bland, just a flat lighting. There's a fellow, he's taking a picture of this formation right here. Getting the camera all set up and lined up, and back here is his flash cord. Here's his flash back here. This fellow's got the carbide lamp, and he's moving that light all around here to try to get the right shadow effect, the right lighting. And when he finds out where he wants it, then he puts the flash there and takes the picture. Here's a .30 caliber Army ammunition box, some foam inside to pad the camera, a pair of muddy gloves that he wears in the cave, somewhat clean cloth, his flash bulbs, and this box, carries his in a small canvas pack there. But that's basically the equipment you carry. So now he's got his flash all lined up. He's going to take a picture, and I say, we're cheap, we're a bunch of freeloaders. So I take a picture with his flash over there while he's getting this close-up. This formation is called a soda straw, and it's about the same size as your large plastic soda straw, to give you an idea of size there. This is greatly magnified. There's a lot of soda straws. They're a little larger here than actual size. But what it is, there's water coming from the surface again, all the way down to a small hole, coming to this point, comes through the soda straw, and then it's coming so slow it doesn't drip, but it evaporates. And as it evaporates, it's leaving behind the mineral that the so-called mild acid, when it came down, dissolved the rock. Now it's redepositing that rock. It's calcium carbonate at the end of the straw, and that straw gradually gets longer. That's a formation. It's stalagmite on the ground. It's just about the actual size, and it has a crystal face on the surface. This is in Arkansas, and the only other ones known of that type of formation are in Pennsylvania. The types of formations you have, you see they're all along this one line. That's where the crack goes to the surface and all the water's coming down. These formations on top, stalactites, stalagmites, and then they join their column. Stalactites, hang on tight so they don't fall. Of course, these might, if they ever join, make a column, but stalactites have to hold on tight. That picture there, that's probably about 7-8 feet high, to give you a size. That picture is about half its actual size, where the water's flowing from the ceiling, and it's called flowstone. Water's coming down, some of it's evaporating, building up this large formation on the ceiling or wall. Now, it's flowing fast enough, this one drips. So it drips down into a pool. And the pool still has a little mineral left. And as this water evaporates, it's leaving a deposit like lily pads. The picture here is about the actual size. Leaves that type. It could be a water that, instead of leaving the lily pads, it's crystallizing under the water surface. And that picture is about actual size there. Now there's a pool just like the previous one, but it's dry. It's like a tree. You know, a tree has, annual rings. Well, the cave has these times too, but what is the length of it? This may be, the dry period here may be several thousand years, and then it gets wet again. So the period of time is irrelevant in a cave, but there's the flash bulb that I showed you earlier for size, which is about double the actual size there. These are cave pearls. They are formed underwater, and it's crystallizing out on it, but they are not attached to the floor of the pool of water. Again, the 4-inch ruler for scale.